won the Ballon d'Or, for God's sake. I mean, what a player. I don't even have to speak about his, technical ability, but also what an amazing person. Like him, Ćorluka and Kranjčar, the Croatian Mafia. Absolutely loved them. Like, honestly, like we just loved them as people. Like they I don't know, they were quite English in many ways. Just great in the dressing room. And Luka was the same. I saw him at the Champions League final, and he was just the same person, and he's gone on to win everything. And
it's hard not to love him.
Have you seen the clip of after, I think it was the Champions League semi from last season, where he's going celebrating with everyone in the dressing room, and he spends, he goes around the whole dressing room, all the players, and then he spends time with like the staff in the background, like the coaches. I think it's those types of things as a fan that I'm like, he's a great person.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Dave. Like you just nailed it. Like you can see it in my life. Everyone loves him. So I remember being injured once and being on the sideline, Luke and Harry saying like, look at Modric, like, and they just watch it. Like he just loved watching him. It was. I don't think I ever saw him give the ball away in training. It was just. I'm not even joking. Like we'd play small-sided like boxes, where you just can't get out of situations, and he would manage to wriggle out of these situations and keep the ball. It was just beautiful to watch. He used to just run games, like we just play it to him. Like I told the story before about Wilson Palacios. It was like, Wilson, go and hunt the ball, win it back. That's what Harry used to say to him. Win it back. I don't care if Luka Modric is there.
Give it to Modric.
Like, I'm talking a centimetre away. You give it to him, and that made Wilson a better player because he knew his role, and then Modric's role was to dictate the game. So for me personally, he wouldn't give me loads of assists, but he would just run the game, and we'd be more in control of every single game because Luke was there.
From Palacios to Casemiro, Real Madrid, similar role: win the ball back, give it to Modric or Kroos. Why has Luka Modric had such a long career at the top level? After the three Champions League trophies, I'm thinking that's it, and now he's just won it again. Why?
Because he doesn't rely on any other attribute other than his brain and his technique. Like lots of players can blow out when they've got all this pace, this strength, this every single thing. Like even when he was a 19-year-old player, he was never going to burst past people. He was always a conductor of the orchestra. He never really, he was never going down the wing, or he never. All his attributes are going to be with him till he's 50, 60 years old. He could play in the senior league, and he's still going to be Luka Modric, who dictates the whole game.
With the Croatian lads, you mentioned the Croatian Mafia. Was it all technique with those lads?
Oh, mate, Kranjčar was an unbelievable player. Great finisher. Like I remember, like in training.
Where have they got that from then? What's happened there?
Well, I think I've got two of the best there. Like Kranjčar was very underrated as a player. Like anyone who's played with Nico Kranjčar will tell you how good he was. And Modric the same. Ćorluka, he was a good, like solid defender, but Luka's relationship with Ćorluka was amazing. They were so tight. We got to the stage where we'd all have our own rooms, and they would always room together, always. Like that didn't happen anymore. But they would still,
even when you were on your own?
Yeah, we'd all have our own rooms now. Like that went out in a sort of.
That's a funny one, isn't it?
Yeah, but even if they had a double bed, they'd still be in it together.
Yeah, but why?
Man.
I know that's lovely. Obviously, it's great that they're so tight like that. But that's a funny one to keep going when all your other teammates are like, you can have your own room.
Yeah,
and they're like, no, we'll stay together.
No, they didn't want to. They were so tight. But I loved that about them. Like they all sort of like knocked about together. But everyone I've met, like Bilic, the same, Robert Prozornicki, like all the Croatian players that I played with, like they all had this sense of sort of togetherness that I quite liked, and I always got on great with them.
It's amazing. It's like an and deck, isn't it? You sort of need both of them together. It's sort of, you imagine them still sharing a room, don't you? You can't imagine them in separate.